Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlickers, shields, desolations, peasants, vassals, Republicans, Republicrats. I'm a useful idiot. Today I want to talk about partisan witch hunts. And I noticed when I do videos, particularly when there's a partisan witch hunt going on, and just because the media, and particularly either the liberal or the conservative media, and the pundits, and the government figures, well, once again on the conservative liberal side, even though they have decided to either make an issue of something or a non-issue of something, I don't fall prey to those forces. I just look at the facts, and I'm bearing in mind now the so-called IRS scandal, the so-called AP scandal, and the so-called Benghazi scandals. And because I take a pragmatic, objective view of it and look at it in the scope of history, I end up taking a lot of abuse about my views. And why aren't you on board? And if you're not on board, then, for example, in these witch hunts, if I'm not on board, I'm accused of supporting Obama. I've had a number of commenters tell me I must be supporting Obama if I'm not on board with some of these witch hunts. And I felt like I'd like to explain why I don't like partisan witch hunts and why some of these scandals don't really mean that much to me as far as my commentary, my analysis. That's the fact that we have both so-called parties. Let me premise this by saying part of the reason why I do this is because I have no skin in the game, really. As far as I'm concerned, the Democrats and the Republicans, or as I call them, the Republicrats and Republicans, are essentially two sides of one party. And they create this balancing act and play each side off each other, divide and conquer, and get everyone distracted with social engineering issues, which have a relative importance, but certainly not the importance that political parties place on them and the amount of histrionics that are associated with such things. So that said, I don't really have any skin in the game. I gravitate towards the GOP just because a lot of my ideals are more conservative. In fact, a lot of my ideals are even more conservative than the GOP party by a long shot. So that said, what I don't like about partisan witch hunts, no matter who's doing it, is it usually ends up being an embarrassment. It costs a lot of time and money, and most disgraced politicians end up having thriving careers where they make hundreds of millions of dollars and end up being icons for their respective parties anyway. So the possibility of taking down another party in these partisan witch hunts has a history of not revealing too many scores. And the other thing I don't like about partisan witch hunts is the fact that the ends justifies the means, and so through this through all these histrionics and all this political opportunism and all this fear mongering and everything, the politicians can whip everybody into frenzy and believe there's something that isn't there. And since I don't have a party affiliation per se, all I see is the hypocrisy. I see the hypocrisy of both sides, both parties, constantly using the same tactics, and then this feigned outrage when the other party uses the same tactics they're always using. And that goes all the way down the line. We have all the outrage over security failures overseas, when there was plenty of them during the Bush administration, in fact, a lot more, and plenty of them during Clinton, and plenty of them during Reagan. And so it goes. Both parties share the blame. On the big things, they're locked arm in arm anyway. But that's something I've covered before, and I'll cover again. But I want to get back to these partisan witch hunts. So this fact that this political opportunism creates this frenzy, it's just lost on me because, like I say, it's just hypocrisy. The IRS scandal, when it turns out there's 100 years of both parties both using the IRS to target their enemies. Obama's doing it now. Bush did targeted people that were against the Iraq War, and they all do that. That's got hundreds of years of tradition as well. And I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not legitimizing it. I'm just saying I want to keep it in perspective. I got plenty of issues that I can focus in on with any of these presidents, but unfortunately it seems like the issues that are gone after are minor compared to the infractions to me that look punishable and impeachable and the like. I'd like to see Barack Obama maybe get impeached for an illegal war in Libya, or our interventions in Syria, or continuing to torture, or keeping Guantanamo open for 5 more years after he promised to close it, and just, all sorts of things. The continued surveillance and police state, that would be things that would interest me. I mean, there's things that seem a lot more egregious than the things they end up going after. And to me, that looks like a missed opportunities by the GOP, because unfortunately they don't go after the issues that could really be considered constitutional infractions by Holder and Obama and the Obama administration, because unfortunately all the same real issues that they would want to go after are the same things that Bush did and Gonzalez did, and the entire Bush administration and that crew. So they can hardly attack them on those ones, so they have to go after these other things. But like I say, it's relative. And these things are blown way out of proportion, and we get these partisan witch hunts. And like I've said before, they wouldn't even have these trials and these hearings and these inquiries and all this other stuff unless it was a partisan witch hunt, because that's their only interest in it. Do you really look at either side of Congress, either side of the aisle, or anybody in the government, in all 3 branches that have been co-opted? Do you think any of them are interested in finding the truth? Really? Why do the Democrats think the Republicans don't want to find the truth, and Republicans don't think the Democrats want to find the truth or not find it? They just, this circle jerk hamster wheel that we have in Congress and our government, why would anybody put any trust in either so-called side? It just boggles my mind. So anyway, this getting back to the subject, the means, the ends justifying the means just doesn't fly. I mean, I'm a conservative. I wanted to support the GOP, and yet I'm embarrassed constantly. The entire GOP convention in this last election cycle was based on a lie about you didn't build it. And they put their entire platform on a lie. Everybody knows it's a lie, except those who refuse to believe that if you see the actual speech, it was completely taken out of context and it's bullshit. And yet they championed it as their slogan. So there's another example. The ends justify the means. They look like idiots and hypocrites and hoist these lies. And unfortunately, like I already said, the fact of the matter is there's plenty of issues they could go after, legitimate issues. They don't need to make up lies. It's kind of like the Benghazi email. So they get a hold of them. They've got the moral high ground. They've got the momentum. Maybe they can make a legal case out of that or not. But then they got to doctor up some of the documents and pass them around and undermine their whole case. And there we go. So anyway, that's what I want to say about partisan witch hunts. I just don't believe all the showmanship and the grandstanding and the smoke and mirrors, the dog and pony show, the bread and circus. I just don't buy it, and I don't think it's necessary. And when we have these manufactured crises, then it only distracts from the real issues. And there's been big things going on while everybody's bogged down in these so-called scandals. And like I say, it's the same old stuff they always do, and it always just stinks of hypocrisy. The real scandals are right in front of them, and they ignore it because they're all in on it together. I'm a useful idiot. Don't you be one too.